airport job, and we were very concerned that any work that we did on the airport had to fit within their master irrigation study. I'm probably going into too much detail, but the point is that we're not a big town firm, and so we don't, it's not our business model at all to discount communities for a big project. We just very frankly would be out of business very quickly in Wyoming if that was our approach. Furthermore, I would say the mindset in those communities, they don't like land being taken out of production and reserved for airports either. So I would be happy to come and introduce the company more. But what I understand tonight is the same thing I understood when I talked with Ryan and we started developing a relationship, and that is, Ryan lives here. This is where he sleeps. He's not going to mess his own bed. I get that, and that's, I will be honest with you, that's what attracts a person like that to, that's what I'm looking for. Whatever arrangement works best for the town of Daniel, I will support, and Ryan has my full support. We've got a lot of competent staff. We've been in business for a long time, but I realize that I'm an unknown commodity, and all I can do is offer that history and introduction, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
I have a question. If we were to ask you a question on how can we curtail making the airport any bigger, would we get a competent and real answer?
Absolutely. The answer is yes, and I would ask you to go and check my references, so to speak. Check with the Heber City Council. Check with Mark Anderson at that city to see if that's what they've been given up to this point. Whether that airport expands or not is not the reason, and will not be the reason that we stay in or out of business.
You're doing the task that you're hired to do for them as your client, and that's it.
My client is the Heber City, and that's where I live. And that's very common. I'm doing the same thing all over. What is unique about this is most cities say we want to be bigger and better than what we really can be. And so I'm managing expectations, saying, well, the federal government sees it differently. In this case, you've got the federal government saying you're getting more traffic in excess of what our standards say, you're safe for. But all they do is look at books and checklists.
Because there's larger, heavier weight planes than that it's been originally set up for by far, like 3 times probably at least. And,
I'd like to cite an example of the type of answer that we gave the city. The previous consultant doing the airports, when they forecast traffic, they take a 2-week window, and then they do some interviews, and then they use prognostications. I don't know if you guys, like when you look at economic impact studies, some of those numbers get out there. The first thing that we did is we logged every single piece of traffic, because we knew the only way the numbers would come down from that forecast is with hard data. And I can tell you we reduced, they had prognostications in 2003 saying we'd be seeing 91,000 operations in 2020. Now I can prove that we're going to see 12,000 operations. Is that my incentive to decrease that traffic? Well, my answer is yes, because at heart, I'm not interested in spending a bunch of excess dollars for a fairy tale, and that's what I felt like that report was.
because it hits in many areas, not only taking up other properties, but where these jets are flying over, and when they land and take off, there's an expenditure of unburned fuel over these areas, and the effect that does in the immediate area and over town, over the schools that's going over, and it's a whole thing.
You know, back to what John had said as far as the conflict, that's probably, and we, as a council, could certainly bring them in and discuss the airport issues that we might have or something, but for now, let's bring it back to just what John had brought up. And
Yeah, if I can speak to that, John, 'cause
Yeah,
I thought
I
about
was
it.
just
I
gonna
mean,
ask you.
I started back, I interviewed, or, talked to Jeremy first back in July or August. This was not, quick decision, it was long and thought out. And that conflict came up and was thought about quite a bit. And I think that the motion tonight, you're hiring GDA as another engineering company, so you have two engineering companies. And then maybe think about it as three motions, well, three components. One, keeping Epic and their contracts and their roles. Two, adding GDA as another engineer and their capacities, whatever they may be. And then as a separate part, appointing me personally as the town engineer. I think either Corey or Jeremy, they both worked with me quite a bit, and keeping opinions to myself and whatnot is probably not something I've been accused of frequently. So I think I can hold my own and be fairly opinionated, and I think I've always put the town first personally. As far as the conflict with the airport, it may be that Heber decides to move forward with the airport and the town of Danny wants to fight it. I know where I stand personally on that issue, and I think that having, if anything, having me on that team may get the Daniel side heard a little more, and may get our concerns voiced a little better. And as
you
far
said
as-
heard, not hurt.
Heard, yeah, heard, sorry.
Yeah,
Heard, and, more of our opinions in the reports and more of the say at those meetings, because I may be a little closer to that side of it. But as far as not representing the town or putting the town's interest first, I don't think that's a concern for me personally. And I don't say that lightly, I thought about that. So that Jeremy will work with Heber, but I'm working with you. And I changed ships once, and want to keep working with you. If I needed to, we could do that again, but I think my interests are what I want them to be.
Any other questions for, sorry?
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
It's fine.
Any question for Jeremy from the council? Do you have any other comment you want to make?
I would just ask that, excuse me, not ask, but add, when Ryan did labor for a long time, and he's very in the details and thought through a lot of different scenarios. I will say, I don't even know if it was the week he was hired or in between, we were meeting, sitting down with Joe and saying, how are we gonna work this out to make sure the clients get taken care of? Because there's more than just one client. And I assume Corey would agree that that's gonna be the paramount concern. I understand it's awkward, but back to your comment, I'm very glad that we're having an open, straightforward discussion. That's the only way it's got to be, if it's gonna be effective.
And I thought about how to minimize that, and there is no way to minimize it. We're all here, we're trying to do what's best for the town. John brought up a good question. I think it was answered, and to my satisfaction. I don't know if his answer to you, John.
It's answered. Yeah.
And, Corey, we'll let you speak in a minute if there's any last things you'd like to comment on and things, but, yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Corey, everyone else been able to speak a little bit on this, so, is there?
I think Ryan's option that he threw out is a decent option. I will say that I will always fight for my client, and I will always seek for their best solution. I will find win-wins when conflicts arise that are difficult things, but I'm at your side of the ring. I'm not on anybody else's side of the ring. That's how I fight, and that's what I do. And many times in the past, how many years? 10 years? 11 years, there's been conflicts, potential conflicts rise. And we've either had somebody else review a set of plans or because of something that might arise. We're mindful of those, and we've always found a solution that puts your interest at best, not ours. We'll continue to do that. We want to be in a position where we can do that.
I think it's all coming down there, He's gonna be the main man that's gonna be.
Not great.
So, you know, and he hit it on the nose, you got a pool of engineers here you're gonna be pulling from, and it's gonna be on Eric's shoulders to delegate what he needs. And in turn, it actually might be easier for him, because he's gonna be like, you know, I know this is gonna be handled right this way, and he's gonna build it. So, you know, Ryan's just got such a good rapport with us, because, you know, I always looked at it, he was Epic, because that's the guy I went to, you know, he always went and took care of us on that side, and that's where, you know, I'd like to go. But I do know that there's other people behind Epic that, you know, the pool of people that Corey has. So that's where you come in and you know who's got what. So. But I think it's gonna work out for the town's best interest. I think it's gonna definitely work as a positive for the town if you have a pool of people to pull from, instead of just, you know, the way it goes.
I agree.
I'll make a motion that we put Ryan Taylor as our town engineer.
Okay. We have a motion to appoint Ryan Taylor as the engineer and/or from GDA. You have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a first and a second. Any last discussion?
Yeah, Eric, so after all this discussion, are you gonna be happy with the way it's going?
I'll never be happy.
Maybe I should say satisfied?
I think so. You know what, we're such a small community that we really do, and we work with Summit, we work with all these different engineering companies, and I don't think there's any of them that doesn't do a professional job. They work well together, and I think that will continue. I just see that as they're professionals, that's what they do.
Yeah.
I think that just continues forward. I don't think that I think that if Heber City hires them, GDA should do the best job they can do for Heber City. If Daniel hires them, they should do, and if somewhere that meets, that's okay. They've both done the best job they can, and that's where it meets. I think that's the same thing with Epic. We've crossed this, we've had plans that have been, you know, and we just have to outsource them. It's to just, they've avoided the conflict just by knowing where that line is. And it's really been self-regulatory. So I don't think we've had to get in the middle of any of that, so. I totally see that these guys are all professional here, and like I say, they may know different working with all the engineering companies, but I haven't seen it anywhere in this valley where they're not all professional.
It'll still be under your final direction. For any reason, anyway.
Well, I think that's in the town's interest,
Yeah. So,
for the next guy.
poor next guy.
We've got a motion and a second, we've had discussion. Any other discussion, any other questions, John? Please. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right,
Okay.
I'm opposed to it,
Three motions for, 2
although
against.
it's good.
Motion
I
carries.
knew it would pass.
I won't take it too personally.
Don't.
He's left-handed, so.
Okay, that takes care of item number 6.
Thanks, Epic, and thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, Danny, municipal water issues is necessary. Let's go to Kim.
The only thing that I came across the last month is he has one meter that was given us a radio read. It was just ridiculous. And
Thank you.
Kathy, Percy, and Sherry brought it to my attention, it was throwing off the accounting in the town. They were having a negative $1 million figure. And so they requested that we just take that out of the system from now. It's up in Storm Haven.
Oh, that's the one that's spun backwards 1 gallon?
can we turn that meter around so we get $1 million?
Yeah, we can try that. But that's more of a county thing, and we're gonna turn that one off. And then we'll probably switch the meter out
Is that what Brett Williams did?
in March or April.
Do you know how deep that one is? if I can help you, if you,
Oh, it's not bad at all. It's probably just 2 feet in the ground to get the main.
Before we do that, I think we just need to spend some water through it. I think what happened, because I called the manufacturer on that one, what happened, when you don't use any water, it sits there and it went backwards a gallon. And so I think if we just open a hydrant somewhere and run 20 gallons through it,
We
it stops
ran
being a
the
problem.
hydrant.
That didn't do it?
Didn't do it.
Well, I guess I would agree with changing out the meter. But
Uh,
the first suggestion was if they're not using any water, it'll sit there and oscillate between 0 and negative 99999, which is an accounting nightmare, and all it does is,
Yeah, that makes sense.
you know, so you just have to kick it to one side of that, and then it was supposed to stop. But if we already did that, then I would support the meter.
Yeah, we ran quite a bit of water through it, didn't correct it. So,
My only suggestion is we get it back while it's still under warranty, so that they can go fix it.
okay.
Or, if you want, let me call them and let them know that it's bad, so that we can get warranty for that.
Okay.
As far as the municipal side,
Pardon me?
that was a Storm Haven one, but on the municipal side, any particular issues or, 'cause I know they're both kind of together at the same time, the municipal side, and then we talk about the Storm Haven side.
No, that's about all that we've got going on, thankfully. We did have to replace a setter, or we had a setter that was tore up down in Daniel on 3,000, and that got straightened out, and I believe we billed the customer for all the services on that and cost.
What west and east is that on?
3,000.
It's on about
It's about
300 west, Daniel,
Okay.
or 3,000 south.
Was it their fault that it broke and stuff?
Yes, they had a water leak, and when they got near the box, the backhoe operator hit the wrong lever or maybe coughed or something.
That happens.
All of a sudden, the setter was out of the ground.
That happens.
Their backhoe operator? That's too bad.
That's good. It's lucky you can still drive one.
But it's all straightened around.
That's the Blaine Webb Golden West, and Danieltown did bill them to be reimbursed for the expenses that Daniel incurred in that, and they paid that, so they're square with
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Easier than having a telephone line. Cable.
So, we've also had the power going out of the pump station a few times this week that
And at the
I
house.
was aware of. I just told Kim, so, no, Kim didn't know until now, but I think we're back on, I think everything's back up and working again. So, it has been, I've checked it the last couple of days. I need to get a hold of the computer and get my new email address put in there. Or ask Epic nicely to start forwarding those alarms, because I'm not getting the alarms anymore right now.
Where are they going?
Oh, you can sleep
They're
at
going
night.
to my old email.
Epic?
They're going to somewhere at Epic.
Kyle, what we gonna do about that? The boss left, he can say whatever he wants.
I would make a motion, you send them to Kyle, so that when it goes off at 2 in the morning, he goes up there.
I don't care who they go to, but somebody's gotta do something.
That's what I mean, they can go somewhere else. Not getting them really has been, yeah, been a nice break, but, you know, we've had problems, so apparently I need to get it fixed.
So I think you guys just made a motion to make those go to Ryan, so.
Oh, it's fine, I just need to get them again, because it's hard to respond when you don't get the message.
So are we just dropping the leg?
Well, so if I can get, I just talked to Kim, if I get the computer, I'll just reprogram the SCADA system to send them a new email address.
No, I'm talking about the outage. Are we just dropping a leg? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, they've got one leg that they keep putting fuses in and it keeps popping. for
Now, is this the
some reason.
same,
Tom says he's not doing anything. We're pulling the same way we always have. I don't know what they've got going on, but
I don't think they know. I think that's why we ended up putting that double line.
that's why our phase monitor is there and it's doing its job and it's working great, so.
Is this the same light that blew a couple of months ago?
Yes. And then blew twice or something this week.
Now, this is the fuse that is breaking on one of the legs?
Yeah, this is the fuse leading in. So right up on Little Sweden Road, it's the 3-phase that goes back to Tom's place and then over to ours.
Okay.
It's that leg is dropping one of the legs.
And it's a fuse, not a breaker?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's one of their big fuses.
so how, this has gone on for quite some time, not maybe as often, but isn't this the same
6
issue you've
years.
had for, So at what point can we, I know they keep saying it's not them, and we've been out there all sorts of times.
In 9 years.
I was gonna say,
Okay, that's my
So
question.
they're getting through.
the day's coming, in the meantime, you know, it's gotten worse again, hopefully it'll get better soon. I know Mike Duggan called it with ideas for capacitors and generators and other things, and I know at one point he wants to talk about buying a generator, you know, finding a generator to be up there to run as a backup and to run the well so we don't pay that demand charge.
Well, I was just gonna say, I've had that discussion with Mike, and I think it is a well discussion, because it serves more than just as an outage situation. It serves for the pump startup and those demand charges, and I think it could pay for it pretty easily.
But
It would pay for itself, wouldn't it?
No, never. The demand charges aren't enough to pay for a generator.
Well, it went from what, $70 a month to $300, $400 a month?
Yeah, that happens once every 3 or 4 years, you got a $10,000 generator.
At least.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, no, that's, now
Then
the
you have a
demand.
monthly fee with that generator, because it's natural gas.
I think what Mike and I talked about was some old Army surplus generator from
Diesel.
diesel that was on the trailer and.
That way there, we only have to buy one for both water systems.
Yeah.
I think you just need to get with Heber Power and figure out how to fix the problem.
No, I would agree, but we're coming up on 7 years and they
Yeah.
can't find, the problem, they don't have a problem. It's okay to drop one phase.
I would still be concerned if, in case there ever was a major outage, if there was some kind of a backup trailer, even a generator, even if it's on a trailer, take up and run these things.
Well, I'd like to ask Tom if he had one in his yard that runs,
He does.
because that would be the best solution.
So
Yeah.
Tom-
He does.
Tom has, at least a couple years ago when I was
But you
last
can't-
over there.
When you have a major outage like that throughout the valley, we'll try and find a generator, you won't be able to do it.
Right,
If you've got one.
To have one,
But I don't like the idea, I truthfully don't care for the generator that's up at Storm Haven. I think it was a waste of money, but that's a personal opinion.
Let me expand on that, or could you expand on that? Why, like, is it no generator, or that style of generator, or
Well,
what?
we just don't have a history that says we need a generator, because if your power goes out, it's there, or in the past, it's been for an hour, 2 hours, it's really not been down for a long time. It's the same thing with the well. I want to see a tank up there before I want to see a new well. Give me the tank capacity, and then I don't have to worry about it for 6, 7 hours, maybe a day, depending on how big the tank is. Those are just all personal opinions.
I don't disagree with Kim or Gary on wanting the tank. The reason for the well is a couple-fold. One of the CDBG grants, not that, you know, I could ask for all their money and we couldn't build a tank. So finances get in the way. The other reason is the state sees the well differently. The state is looking at the well as insufficient in numerous categories and possibly some more. And the state's worried that the well, if we don't do the well first, they're gonna throw a fit and wonder why, and wanna know why and see reasons and logic. And so what I'm trying to do is wrap up have CDBG pay for the well, SRF pay for the tank, and at the end of the day, it's all one project and we end up with both. And the generator, I don't disagree with Kim, but if you read the drinking water rules, you either have a tank of adequate size or you have a generator. We had $40,000 and we need, you know, a multi-$100,000 tank. Had $40,000, so you can either supply a tank or you can supply backup power, so we supply backup power. I don't like it as a long-term solution either, but it checked a box and it got stayed off our back in one regard from the well.
would they, is the power a 220 or 440?
Which one?
Yeah, both of them, as far as,
We got one of each.
okay, so Storm Haven is,
Storm Haven's still single phase 220 and the municipal station is 3-phase 480.
480, okay.
And last time, I checked with Tom a few years ago and he had 2 different generators that he said he'd be happy, you know, but either one would be sufficient to run that.
And I
position.
believe the plug's right on the wall for the
Yeah, I would kind of look at it more like
Yeah.
insurance, just,
Oh.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and he's probably got a used one, you probably pick it up for a decent price.
Well, and I didn't mean to turn it into a long discussion, just an item that I talked with Mike and we were working on, if we can get numbers to work and something to pick, that, you know, that was something we were working on, whether it makes sense or not, and whether we can make it happen is a whole other story.
Well,
So,
That could be I look at it as an insurance.
I do worry that, you know, like you said, the 1 hour, 2 hour outages, I mean, up at the municipal pump station, I mean, we were out for 36 hours and nobody knew it. Tank had plenty of water, the pump didn't need to come on, life was good. I mean, if Tom hadn't called and said the fuse was blown, we wouldn't have known for another couple days.
Then would be out. and-
I was mainly worried, I told Kim, I was mainly worried about the freezing, just because we have an electric heater that keeps things from freezing. But we move enough water through that building, I would be really surprised if anything froze with just the amount of water that we moved through the building. So there really wasn't a need, you know, but if we have a multi-week problem, then, you know, that multi-week problem is not when you want to be asking to borrow a generator.
Well, I've heard that generator running, you know, it ran a few different days there. I was driving out, I was like, what's that? Stopped and it was running, so.
And that small one that we put up at Storm Haven is not a long-term solution, and I don't disagree with Kim, but Division of Drinking Water didn't want to let us do anything until we could check some basic boxes, and that was one of the boxes we had to check. So we checked the box, it sits there, and so if it serves no other purpose, it checked the box on the drinking water and move on to other things.
And Storm Haven runs out of water 10 minutes after the power fails.
Yeah, if you're on demand,
Case, is that about, I mean, 10, 15, 20, do you have an idea of? I know you have to.
I lose it right away.
Yeah.
Right.
So me and the three, you know, the upper one, as soon as the power's out, there's no water.
So all I
that's
can
why
say
we
is
put the generator next to your house.
So during, so all I can say is during the installation, I warned the contractor 3 or 4 times, you can't shut the water off, you know, don't shut the power off without telling everybody because the water's gonna be out. We got all the way done, it's like it happened with 1 wire. It's gonna do it really quick. Shut the wire off, move this wire, put it back on. Shut the power off, turned around, there was a lady that said, what the hell did you do to my water? You couldn't even with 1 wire.
Well, enough said there.
Yeah.
So, I don't like it either. I don't think I disagree with Kim, but what I'm hoping to do is move to a longer solution to where Storm Haven looks more like the municipal system, and, you know, 36 hours later, we start to get worried about what are we gonna do, and 72 hours later, we start implementing a plan, and about 120, you know, a week and a half, we do something. In the meantime, everybody has water, nobody knows there's an issue.
I haven't lost a dishwasher yet to, you know, to the water system since Daniel's been in control, so.
Yeah, lost a dishwasher.
Surges and whatnot?
Well, I had milk. 'cause it
Runs out of
everything
water and
without
just keeps
water.
going?
Oh, right.
Yeah. Wow.
Daniel lost some washers before too. On the Daniel system, they lost some clothes washer burned out.
Wow.
So since we've kind of combined 7 and 8, Daniel Municipal and Storm Haven, back to you, Kim, for any last comments about that, those systems, not, we'll kind of move on.
No, it's just a surprise to me to find out the power was off after the Daniel pump house. I found out about it tonight. So, that's proof that things get by every once in a while.
Okay.
Make sure you're getting my emails too.
And Municipal, Storm Haven. At number 9, business license applicants. So time over to Eric.
Okay, we got 1 business license back.
As in a renewal?
Yes, this is a renewal for Wes's Auto Repair. And so the application's with it.
And he's had it for a long time?
Yeah, he's licensed with the state too. You'll notice on his application, he has a state license number.
Any questions from the council as far as this?
Where's his place at?
Right next to the school property on 3000 South,
Okay.
directly west. So the process will be, Lynn, are you getting that information to the county?
Yes. On the application, Mayor, there should be a line where you have to sign that it was approved this evening, I believe. Maybe on the back side.
There's actually one for planning and zoning, as well as,
Other.
other. Okay,
Oh, okay.
Let's see if it-
there we go.
So this business probably doesn't meet current business code.
For sure.
is it a separate building?
It is a separate.
We want him on public meeting now.
Tell me, I know the page I should.
This is the new procedure that the county is requiring of us to show that the licenses were approved.
However, there is a judge that said he was in compliance, so.
That always is important.
Yes.
Okay.
What do you mean by that, Harry?
The county took him to court.
Took this guy to court? They said
He prevailed.
that he was in compliance with the county.
Substantial compliance, it's a legal term.
Oh, and that was back when the county,
That's correct.
oh, okay, wow, interesting.
He still works for the county, so.
Who's in the county?
Don't know.
Yeah,
We might find out.
We want him. Well, he wanted to change.
Okay, you want me to keep going?
Yes, sir.
Planning report.
So that's all for business license then, on to number 10?
Yep.
Okay.
Set down. Oh, that was the code you sent me, was 2014, Lynn. There's a
Really?
2016 that's updated, that has quite a bit more information on it than what.
But it still is a requirement.
It is still a requirement on the 16 session.
Okay.
However, it's also being looked at at the legislature. I didn't write it on there.
That's what Stephanie from the county had sent to me.
Yeah. Yeah, they give you an old code.
Okay.
I'll start with just a question, and I know you like to go through and just let's ask what, as we go down the list on blue stakes. Looks like we're still getting quite a number of them.
We're getting a few, and it's slowed down a lot.
Right.
It's slowed down a lot. It has, yeah.
That's kind of where I was going with, I mean, last few weeks probably not, but it's just, there's been some later in the season issues just because it was so mild up to a few weeks ago. Is that kind of where the blue stakes came in, or are they still kind of coming in through this?
They're still coming in, they trickle in. What happens is somebody will pull one and then they continually update it. And so we just keep getting calls of more and more.
Just waiting for the right day to do their thing.
Yeah, and so we get dinged each time they do that. And I have to go out and mark it, but we had a couple of gas crossings. I thought I brought one here I was gonna show you tonight. It probably would lead into, yeah, there it is. That'll probably lead into a different discussion. That's one I just got today regarding the Daniel Irrigation Piping Project.
So, what, across the line or cut into the line?
They're gonna come, it says they're digging in the road, so I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
where they're at, but that's a blue state that came in today. So we get just those few projects we have.
Now, in this case, not to get into further discussion, but isn't there some cutting permits and things at certain times of year and?
There are some excavation permits that they need to get. There's some other items that haven't been fulfilled. That's why I said that would lead into other discussion. But we made it right to the other discussion.
For me, at this point, is that just being addressed at this point, or, well, you got it today, so it just, it's going to get addressed then? Okay.
Yeah,
Didn't have time.
yeah, I just printed that off. So, yeah, we still get a few. It's down a long ways from what it was, but. Any other?
Yeah, how did was this a meeting with Charleston then, Eric? How did that all go?
The Charleston meeting, we can jump right to that. Charleston meeting, I went down and met with Ramey. And this is the map that the mayor dropped off. So the town of Daniel was gonna protest this annexation based on this line is clear across the highway. So it takes the entire highway.
Yeah.
This dedication to the county doesn't follow the new
California agreement.
our agreement for this intersection.
Yeah.
Those were our two main items that we was gonna protest on, although I prepared a whole list of things. So we had some time issues, we had some, well, let me see if I... Okay, so the annex on the east side of Highway 189, it inhibited future annexations by building an island to the town of Daniel, as far as crossing the highway. The dedicated right-of-way does not indicate compliance with the corridor preservation agreement. The timeline for submittal requirement was not met by state law. They missed their timeline. The notice to the municipality, to all the municipalities they had to send out, and to the state website was not put on the state website, so their noticing requirements were not met by legal law. The recorded plat is not, it does not match up with the legal description on that, and also the map that was submitted with when it was certified is not the map that was incorrect. So those were the items.
Sounds like the airport.
Those were the items that Eric found on that.
And so,
I got a call from Ramey, and so I went down and met with her, and she wanted to assure us that these items, that our highest priority, the intersection, which is what we even looked at annexing that property for, so we could control that intersection. So this is signed by Ramey and the mayor, and so let me just read it to you. This letter is a response to a meeting held at Charleston Town Hall between Eric Bunker, the town planner, and Ramey Oakley, Charleston recorder, on Thursday, December 22nd. It assures the town of Daniel that Charleston will, 1, within 60 days of the 3,000 road alignment annexation into Charleston Town, record the applicable document adjusting the boundary line from the south side of 189 to the center of the highway. So we'll do that with what's called just a municipal line adjustment. And so we don't have to go through all the, it just puts it down the middle of highway, UDOT's right away. Okay, 2, the annexation agreement will be entered into between the town of Charleston and the petitioners of the 3000 South Road Alignment annexation. That includes following the corridor preservation agreement showing 3000 South realignment as a condition of this annexation. So they won't annex unless that's a condition on that annexation. A copy of the annexation agreement will be delivered to Daniel upon its logging. This letter of assurance will be given to satisfy the concerns that previously would have caused Daniel Town, they said Township, to file a letter of protest to this annexation. So they agreed to follow those 2 items, our big thing, and I said, well, the other items aren't big enough to warrant a protest. But I had to explain to her that if I have to protest, I have to bring everything to the table. That was quite an extensive list, and she was pretty upset about that big of a list. But
good job.
we worked through that.
Yeah, good job, Eric.
So I think the town of Daniel got what we wanted out of that.
Yeah.
I talked to Mike this week, and he was surprised that it was moving forward, so.
Oh, really?
But I think there wasn't any other issues, was there, that we were talking about on that? So that letter is signed by the mayor, and he's been to my house 2 times.
But you haven't got the new drawing yet?
I have not, and matter of fact, that meeting will be Wednesday this week, will be their first hearing down there. We was on a timeline to protest, so that's,
Yeah.
we was all set to do that, and then she called and says, can't we just meet and talk? Sure. Well, good for talk, so we did good. I think the town came out with what they wanted to see happen on that one.
Yeah, good job, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eric. Is that the only question?
Gonna say anything, anything else for Eric with regards to these items? I know that there's some continuing items on here, and some are finished up, or are these all continuing?
Yeah, all these will be something we worked on during the month.
But are some of these still, are any of them done at this point, or are they all still moving forward?
They're all still moving forward.
Was the stop work fixed with the wall?
No.
So they're still under stop work?
Yeah, we've issued a stop work order. I've requested the pics from Epic Engineering. for the pictures of when that was issued.
Are you familiar?
Where's this?
Which one?
The pictures for the Todd Wall on
Todd Wall.
those. Because we had the inspector go out, issue the stop work order and take pictures.
Yeah.
And so I'm still waiting for the.
I still owe you those pictures.
Yeah.
They'll send you tomorrow.
So the pictures, and then we'll see if he continued beyond that, and then we will proceed with whatever actions required on that one.
The Peterson one, I know, still got some loose ends there.
Okay, I met with, Epic met with Peterson earlier in the week,
Yes.
and then I met with him Friday. And so I think he did the lights, he's addressed the fencing. I gave him either option, he can either put it up on the road or he can extend the chain link. I'm sure that's what you guys talked about.
Yeah.
That's what he indicated to me. We have some water that needs to be turned over to the town, which may become an issue between the town and Daniel Irrigation. They want to make that water non-voting shares. Once that water's turned over to the town, they don't want it to be a voting share. So I think that we will have an issue with that as that comes forward.
Yeah.
I think the town council will have to cross that bridge. I told Mike Peterson that if I was him, I'd hurry and turn the shares over and not be in the middle of that. So that was my advice to him. Don't step between the town and the irrigation company, but I told him he's welcome to stay there if he'd like to.
Like every other water share, I think if you have a share, you got to vote, and I don't know how the council would feel about that, but that would be normal procedure.
You know,
So is the organization of that group still the same?
DSE.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. So I think Peterson's getting close to a CO on those two items, I think is our big hangup.
Yeah.
So there was an issue when I went to visit with him regarding how many shares he had needed to turn over. And so he's been told to 8. He says he has 4, but Roger Pearson up at WICWEP did an evaluation of his landscape area and said he only needs to turn over 1.
I heard 2 from,
Roger told me to,
yeah, 2 is
when
what
I met with him about other stuff.
Okay.
what's turning it over for?
I was gonna say, my understanding is an acre foot per acre, and whether it's landscaped or not landscaped. I mean, it's the acreage that the project's on, isn't it?
Yeah, so the code says that any water rights for any unit have been historically watered.
Historically,
Which the whole property was.
which I explained to Mike, that would be, I said, given you have 2+ acres, 8 would be the number. So he was kind of seemed surprised about that. I said, that's nice that Roger did that for you, but he doesn't issue the town code, so.
Now, this is what he needs to have, water shares to irrigate the property, or what is it?
He needs to turn those over to us.
What happens with commercial is the town will hold those shares and then
Oh.
bill the owner.
Okay,
So that those people use, commercial tends to sell off and go.
okay,
If those shares remain with an owner, it goes with them. And suddenly you have commercial property with no irrigation. right?
okay, gotcha, I understand.
And so, in a sense, what happens is they turn around and they use the water they have, which is culinary.
Mhm.
And so it's a bigger impact.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, if they did do that, you could take those shares and do a change of use and use those in the culinary system to provide. So you always have that backup.
Yeah,
That's kind of why we made that move a year or 2 ago for that scenario.
yeah,
Okay?
okay. All right. Okay,
Anything else? You guys good on all?
Um,
The Highway 40 corridor, let me speak to that just briefly.
you bet.
We had a meeting with everybody, got together, Wasatch County, UDOT, Independence showed up, or their representative showed up, I should say. Jody rewrote that agreement. Mayor Turner had quite a back and forth discussion with her on, they actually wrote us out of the agreement. And so Mayor Turner pointed out that she was way out of line. So they put us back in, but we had some changes that was never put into the agreement on a final draft, we haven't seen that. So we would have had the agreement here for you guys to vote on tonight, had those changes been instrumented and put into place, we would have had that on the agenda. But I believe we're meeting this Thursday, and we'll see where we stand after that, because the county actually called us after that meeting and said, what are you guys thinking? You know? I said, well, me and the mayor left the meeting saying we got sold down the river. Everybody walked away from Daniel at that point, so. Back to a note on that agreement too with Charleston, is the mayor come to my house and he says, so you didn't want to sign that agreement, but you're holding us to it?
Yep.
So finally, he stood still long enough for me to explain why we wouldn't sign those few items, and he said, well, I'm gonna get that changed. So I said, well, good luck, because it says all have to agree to change that.
Yeah.
And good luck getting everybody to agree, so we'll see how that goes. He says he's gonna do that, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I explained to him that I could see everybody in that whole thing agreeing and UDOT, the holdout,
Oh, yeah.
and holding every municipality in this county hostage because it says all.
Yeah,
And you can't change that agreement until all agree.
that's right.
So he didn't see it that, and so it was his email that wanted to move forward without us on that agreement.
What
So
would the change be? That'd be
it would say majority,
Majority, okay.
That's a big
simple
thing.
majority.
Yeah.
It is.
That's what we're pushing on the 40 agreement, is there's several words like that kind of got finally redlined, but like Eric said, they have not printed out and gave us the final.
So, or it would have been here. Okay, I think is that enough? You guys got any other questions?
Council?
So you can see we got 111.5 hours and 40 on Blue Stake. I just wanted to side note, as I was reviewing some of our documents, and I know that this is already passed, but our new resolution that got voted on cut, if you'll read the over rates, cut nearly in half. I don't know if you guys was aware of that when that was voted on. As I reviewed those two documents, that jumped out at me.
Well,
Yeah, because
didn't in the presentation, that was somewhat considered with the overage being maybe a little bit less, but the fee being a little bit more. As far as this document, and I guess I'm trying to ask two people the same question. Do you feel that where the overages that kind of went by, that it's going to be significant enough that we may have to look at the water rates again?
No, I'm looking at the overage fees.
Right,
But the gallons is cut in half. It was 20,000, we dropped to 10,000. So the costs remain the same, but you cut the gallons in half. So they will kick in at 10,000 instead of 20,000 over. So I just didn't know if you was aware of that. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I was not on the winning side, so.
and has there been an issue about that come up yet?
No, I just know that we have people that go over, so.
So what kicks in at 10,000 gallons?
So, right here, you're at 20,000 gallons, and now we're at 10,000 gallons where it starts. So basically that cut in half on that lower end. I don't know why I'm looking at stuff we already passed, I don't know.
Well, I don't know that, was that intentionally passed like that?
I don't know,
I
I was
don't
just
recall
reviewing
that-
our old one and our new one, so
Yeah.
It's not a typo by chance? Could it be a typo or no?
I think it was meant to be that way, but I don't know that it was
Apparently it meant the same thing.
brought to the
I'm not-
attention.
No, because the problem is not consistent, because all these base gallons are based on the 20,000 gallons.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think that's correct.
It should
Because-
still be 20,
Because
right?
all these base rates were based on,
20.
all these calculations are based on this,
Through
not
discussion.
this. So,
They're all based on 20,
so,
right?
so next, so I would say next month I would change that text back to this. Because I didn't, we tried to simplify and clean this up, but we started with this document and then added that table. So somewhere we must have grabbed an old version or something.
Okay. Can we-
So,
It's not the first time I've apologized for being anal.
That's important though.
So no, if we're going to go to this, then we should recalculate all the base gallons, and that's not what we meant. What we were trying to do was change the base gallons to match that.
But we'll have it on the agenda for next month, okay?
You wanna just pass that down to Lynn? Say we're looking it up. I just didn't know if you guys was aware of that had happened.
No, I don't think,
And I wouldn't have, except for I was just reviewing documents, so. Is there anything else you guys wanna know from me? You saw Linden on the news with their boil order on their water. So here's,
Oh,
How many days, is that 3 days?
yeah, 3 or 4 days before they can find that. So there's our reports for our water. And then I just wanted to lightly touch on with Kim here on this guy that got killed. Public, the one that got hit by the backhoe.
Didn't hear about it.
where's,
You know, I can't remember which town they were in. I think it
Down
was,
in Laverkin?
yeah, I think it was down south there. Anyway, the guy was marking lines, blue staking, and the guy swung around with the trackle and hit him and killed him. So Government Trust, who we're a member of, sent this out to everybody to review their safety, make sure they're wearing reflective clothing and be aware of the, as we do that. So
So that means 20 to 30.
yeah,
When did that happen, Eric?
just this last week.
January 3rd.
I looked at that.
It was pretty sad. It is.
Wow.
So, sorry, if I can go back to your water resolutions. Lynn pointed out, Lynn and I went back and forth on this quite a bit. I think we're actually okay. So we're not changing the rates. We changed the text too. So if you read the text before, it's the base rate allows up to 20,000 gallons and overuse for 20,001 up. The new text reads, overuse rates above the base gallonage will be billed at the rates listed below, 0 to 10,000. So with a 3/4 inch meter, you get 20,000. Over 20,000 gallons, so 20,001 gallons is $2 per thousand. So it's semantics, but we haven't changed the rate. The base gallons for a 3/4 inch meter is 20,000. Base gallons for a 1 inch meter is 25,000 gallons. It's the overuse structure.
That's what.
Used to just blindly start at 20,000 gallons, now it starts at 0 above your base use.
Above the 20,000.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
so if you read the text
Oh, I
with the
got you.
asterisks, we didn't mess up, we changed it, and it's all good.
Yes.
If you look at just the two tables, looks like a mistake.
Thought you were wrong.
I thought, yeah, we thought we were wrong, but we made a mistake.
I was a little surprised, Eric, it took you that long to find it.
What?
You have to be reviewing it. I'm sure you would have caught that when we first passed it.
So,
I voted against it,
Are you still?
which is why I'm not calling it up for the vote.
so anyway, I think we're good.
Okay. I just want.
I was right at the last meeting, wrong at this one.
Right on. So, we talked about, as we went through this is the new rule for the fire. This has been out for public comment, the wildland fire that we've had them come talk to the council about.
Oh, if I've got
These
it.
are all the rules, and it's out for public comment. It may be over now. Public comment may be over now. I can't remember when it cut off. It seemed like it was the first week in January, maybe the second week. Anyway, those are the rules that they're talking to. It's definitely not what they stood here and told us. So it will be a little bit more, it's still good, but it'll be more comprehensive on our part to be,
As far as record keeping of our dollar amount to try to meet that requirement,
and our requirement to do it.
more dollars,
No more action.
more action.
Yes. You shall remove. So they've written that in there. You shall remove in any property the town owns or any property within the municipal boundary. So it almost takes away the dollar figure and says you will be doing work.
Yeah, shells all over in here.
It is. So that's what came out of the legislature. That was, like I said, out for public review on that new rule.
At the end of the day though, whether it's all the shells or not, with the potential liability of that fire, it still outweighs
It's still good, it's still a doable document, it's just, there's a lot more teeth in there than what they had anticipated, if it was just a friendly thing, so. I wrote them, but I don't expect I'll hear back.
And I'm sure our county guys will just wait and see what fund comes out, and then.
Our fire is not gonna do anything right now, their hands are tied up right now.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's some people lose their jobs before this is ironed out. Really? Yeah,
Wow.
very ugly.
With regards to this subject or many subjects?
The whole fire department and the building department is, they're at odds. It's,
With the sprinkler system and all that.
yep, everything. Yeah, it's pretty ugly right now.
I think I got in there just before they started doing it. It's still a good idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. I think we've got everything else covered on that, unless you have more questions on that.
Nope.
My sprinkler system is class 5, so if it gets that bad,
It's gonna go, huh?
they're gonna go in one.
I'm good. Any other questions, Council? Anything else there?
That's it.
Okay.
Moving on.
Item 10, item 11, approval of minutes for the December 5th, 2016. Did everyone have a chance to review it? And if so, are there any corrections that need to be made? And if not, the chair will entertain a motion.
Anytime you want to stop. Usually there, or usually
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay, we have a motion? You have a second? While we're sitting here, I'll ask Eric if he's gonna wait till we have a second, then come up with a comment at the end of the second.
Well, I just haven't had time to review it, so I'll abstain.
Okay.
Had a bigger fire going.
No.
Did you motion back?
We're still looking.
Once I got her in there.
Okay.
So you're second?
Yeah, I'll second.
So we have a first and a second. Any discussion, John, any questions? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
Abstention? Okay. Minutes were approved. Moving on to item number 12, Recorder's Office, warrant approval, announcements, second quarter fiscal year budget update.
Okay, you've got the warrants there in front of you. Some reimbursements to myself. We have the Utah Local Government Trust bond expense. That's the bond that Spencer Hinsey spoke of in the audit. It's required that the mayor and treasurer be bonded in the state. One-way invoice for the announcement of meeting schedules for this year. The surcharge, which is a quarterly for, it goes to the educational fund, building permits. Robert and Stewart's charge for the audit of 55. We had talked initially about 3,000 for the approval procedure, but that didn't happen. So that item is larger than what was budgeted for, but we can deal with that later. Smith Hartfordson invoice for 1,200, dealt with multiple issues, mostly on what he termed the Golden subdivision. There are 8,
The Gogan?
On Hartvigson's bill, it said G-O-D-E-N.
Oh, God,
Godden, sorry.
God, okay, I'm with you. Sorry. I was getting a, wait, we're not paying that. That's not us. Okay.
There are 8 Epic Engineering invoices listed there. They had submitted more than that to the town. This is what the mayor has